Hey kids, it's July 15th, Wednesday. We are 2 days away from our vacation. Today, I finally completed several personal tasks that had been sitting on my list for quite some time. Your mother also took care of things she had been postponing, so it was a productive day. We had a calmer evening than usual. You are all asleep upstairs now, and I'm here for our talk. Today I want to discuss one of the most underrated qualities a person can have. Not intelligence, not talent, not physical strength. Resourcefulness. For me, resourcefulness means making things happen with what you have. And that final part matters, with what you have. People sometimes confuse being resourceful with having many resources, a great deal of money, plenty of time, the best tools, powerful connections, a large team. Of course, those things help. But possessing resources does not mean you know how to use them. One person can have every advantage and still remain stuck. Another may have very little and somehow find a path forward. Resourcefulness is the ability to look at what you have, what you know, whom you know, what you can learn, and what you can try, and then use those things intelligently. It is not about having everything you need before beginning. It is about making the best possible use of what is already available. That mindset can change your life. Let me tell you a simple story from our house. Last year, our dishwasher stopped working. It displayed an error message, so we called someone to inspect it. After taking a quick look, he recommended replacing the entire machine. Something about that answer didn't feel right. Perhaps he was correct. I certainly knew far less about dishwashers than he did. But his inspection seemed quick, and I wasn't convinced we had reached the end of the road. So I became curious. I searched for the error online. I read forums. I watched videos. I tried one possible solution. Nothing happened. I tried another. Still nothing. Then another. Eventually, I found something that worked. The error disappeared. The dishwasher started running again. And it has continued working ever since. The lesson is not that I'm talented at repairing appliances. I'm definitely not. The lesson is that I didn't immediately accept the first obstacle as the final answer. Instead of saying, "I suppose it's impossible," I asked, "What else can I try?" That small difference matters. Resourceful people don't necessarily know the solution. They simply continue looking for one. I have seen this quality naturally in both of you. Sometimes a toy is somewhere you cannot reach. Instead of immediately asking an adult to get it, you begin experimenting. You drag over a chair, then perhaps a box, then another toy. You construct a questionable little staircase that makes your parents slightly nervous. Sometimes it works, sometimes it collapses, but you keep thinking. Watching children solve problems is fascinating because you haven't yet learned to assume that every obstacle requires an expert. You see a problem and think, there must be some way. Adults often lose part of that instinct. We become too quick to say, "I can't. I don't know how. I don't have what I need. I'll wait until someone else solves it." We begin treating our current knowledge as the limit of what is possible. But "I don't know how" and "this cannot be done" are completely different statements. The first may simply mean that you haven't learned yet. A resourceful mindset asks better questions. What do I already know? Where could I learn more? Who might understand this? What could I use instead? Can I simplify the problem? Is there another path? Who could help me? That last question is especially important. Being resourceful does not mean doing everything alone. Sometimes the most resourceful action is asking for help. Sometimes it is finding the right person. Sometimes it is bringing several people together, each contributing something different. One person may have an idea, another may have experience, another may have time, another may know the right people, Another may have access to money, equipment, or information. Separately, none may be able to complete the project. Together, they can create something none could have created alone. That is resourcefulness too. People are not resources in the sense of objects to be used. They are people to be appreciated, trusted, respected, and collaborated with. Your relationships, reputation, and ability to ask for help are part of what is available to you. Resourcefulness also means using limited resources wisely. Imagine two people receiving exactly the same tools and materials. One spends the day complaining, "These tools aren't good enough. The wood isn't perfect. I need better equipment." The other examines what is available, adjusts when necessary, and builds the best table they can. The difference was not the toolbox. It was the mindset. This is not an argument against good tools. Better equipment, money, knowledge, and support can make an enormous difference. But waiting for perfect conditions can become another form of avoidance. You can spend your whole life preparing to begin. The perfect moment rarely arrives. And sometimes, having fewer resources forces you to become more creative. A limitation can make you notice possibilities you would otherwise have ignored. Many important inventions, businesses, works of art, and personal breakthroughs were created by people who began with very little. What they lacked in resources, they compensated for with curiosity, creativity, persistence, courage, and collaboration. There is another ingredient in resourcefulness: confidence. But not the kind that says, "I already know everything." That is usually arrogance. The useful kind says, "I may not know how yet, but I can probably figure out the next step." Nobody knows everything. You won't. I don't. No one ever will. But almost everyone can learn something they don't currently know. Today, information is available through books, videos, libraries, communities, experts, friends, and sometimes fathers. Often the knowledge you need is only a few good questions away. Resourceful people don't wait until they understand the entire journey. They begin with what they know, then they learn, adjust, try again, and keep moving. That process builds real confidence. You begin a problem without knowing the answer. You investigate, you make mistakes, you ask for help. Eventually, you make progress. Then, when something difficult appears again, you remember, "I have figured things out before." That is stronger than merely repeating, "I am confident." It is confidence supported by evidence. Whenever I have faced a difficult problem, I have almost never solved it with my first idea. Sometimes the 5th attempt worked, sometimes the 10th. Sometimes the answer came from a completely unexpected direction. The only reason I found it was that I continued looking. That is why persistence is closely connected to resourcefulness. Your first failure is information. It is not necessarily a final verdict. It tells you, that approach didn't work. Good. Now you know something you didn't know before. Try another approach. Of course, this does not mean continuing forever without judgment. Sometimes something genuinely cannot be repaired. Sometimes a project no longer makes sense. Sometimes continuing would waste more time or money than stopping. Resourcefulness also requires wisdom. The goal is not to keep pushing blindly. It is to explore reasonable alternatives before declaring something impossible. It means knowing when to persist, when to change methods, when to ask for help, and when to let go. So the next time you hear yourself saying, "I don't have enough money, I don't have enough time, I don't have the right equipment, I don't know the right people," pause. Those limitations may be real. Don't pretend they don't exist, but then ask, what do I already have? Maybe you have 30 minutes. Maybe you have curiosity. Maybe you have access to a library or the internet. Maybe you know someone who knows someone. Maybe you have a friend who can help. Maybe you have an old tool that can serve a new purpose. Maybe experience from another area can be applied here. Perhaps all you have is the courage to begin and the willingness to keep learning. Those are resources too. Some of the most capable people in the world did not begin with the greatest advantages. They became capable by making extraordinary use of ordinary things. They noticed what was available. They combined resources creatively. They learned quickly. They built relationships. They remained calm when the first plan failed. And they refused to let imperfect conditions become a reason to do nothing. Problems will always exist. Opportunities will always exist too. And resources will always be limited in some way. You will never have unlimited time, money, energy, knowledge, or support. But your ability to think clearly, remain curious, learn, ask for help, adapt, and keep trying is something you can continue developing. Make that part of your character. Don't always ask, "Do I have enough?" Ask, "Am I using what I already have as intelligently as I can?" Don't ask only, "Why is this difficult?" Ask, "What is the next thing I can try?" And never confuse, "I haven't found the way yet," with, "There is no way." Sometimes a breakthrough begins with money, technology, or expertise. But very often, it begins with a person looking at an obstacle and quietly asking, "What else can I do?" And do not ever forget, I love you both very, very much.